Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Today's episode is part of a 6-part mini-series focused around firefighter cancer, particulate protection, and decontamination. In March of 2025, the podcast once again headed over to Biggin Hill Airport, which was the location of this year's particulate protection and decontamination seminar. This is brought to you by our main partner for this mini-series, PGI, and supported by Dewipe, SimTrainer UK, and G2SR. This mini-series focuses around the challenges faced by first responders when it comes to particulate protection, decontamination, and cancer. We'll talk about the current understanding of contamination-related cancer risks. We'll touch on gender-specific health risks, particularly for female responders, practical solutions, next steps in contamination control. We'll look at some solutions, and we'll also speak about the costs being paid by people who have lived with, suffered with, and also to those who have lost their lives through this occupational risk faced by first responders. Thanks for coming back to the podcast, and I'll see you on the other side. Why'd you start the company?
We started the company because we realised there was a need for decontamination in the UK. Nobody was doing it.
How did you know there was a need for it though? Because it's one of those things that people like conceptually think we should be doing more of, but no one actually came out and did it.
No, you know? We noticed it in the USA when we went to a seminar in the USA, and it was seven years ago now.
Wow, is that long ago?
Yeah, and we were with a UK firefighter, and they were like, "We need this. We are not doing this." And is it because in the US the volunteers are volunteers, so they're thinking of themselves more? Or the service is thinking of themselves them more. So we came back to the UK and started doing some research, and we were saying, well, yeah, the fire service and the fire pumps have got water on, they put stations on jobs, but they're not doing it, so it's got to be a different way, and you can't tell people what to do, so we had to start educating really. And
what did people think was the cost of not doing it?
I don't think they thought of it at all. I don't think people were really thinking of the future and of the
long-term
health.
carcinogenic cost of it,
Yeah, I don't think anybody was. Well,
sort of chronic exposure.
Yeah.
Why do you think it was such a leap for us to understand that something's on your skin absorbs the things in your body? Why was that so difficult for us? Because it is, I know John speaks powerfully about this aspect of the invisible risk. Is there an element that we can't see? It's not grease, it's not filth, it's something different to that. But it's the difference between obvious and oblivious. It feels like it's something we were oblivious to for ages until someone like yourself brings the data and you make that logical leap and go, that's obvious. Yeah. Why have we never done any differently?
Think of it.
Yeah.
Because I think you're just too busy doing your jobs and going home and getting on with your life without even thinking that. And it does take people who have, like John, Robbie, who have gone through cancer to start talking about themselves. And a lot of people won't talk about themselves. I'm sure I've spoken to firefighters whose fathers were firefighters and they've had cancer. It was never even thought. It was from the job. But now with everybody talking about it and the stats there and all the work that's been done, that people are talking about it more.
What's the pushback that you receive in the early days of, I'm not sure if this is needed?
Oh, we had big pushback in the early days. We were cold calling and trying to sell through, but educating. We were trying to sell first. We thought everyone would adopt it. Yeah. And they wouldn't. I was getting, there's no proof. And it was from high up as well, who was, there's no proof. I think the local authorities were worried about potential claims, and I think that was a big thing.
It's bigger in the States, isn't it? There's a real litigations type culture there where people are worried about, and also, I was speaking to John Lord about this earlier, if I do acknowledge it, and I have also been in the job for 30 years, I have to take an element of responsibility of saying, have
I done this to myself? Have I done this to my kids? Have I done this to my family?
Yeah.
Have I brought that home and hugged my grandchild?
Yeah.
If I acknowledge it,
You have to do something
you
about
have to
it.
do something about it.
Yeah.
And also then maybe that just inflates that concern, that inner fear that you have, like, is this a ticking time bomb?
Yeah.
Like, I'm retiring soon. How long? Robbie was speaking powerfully earlier about
He was, yeah.
those career lengths and how long people are surviving after they leave the job.
Yeah.
The way the pensions are set up, you may get a chance to draw it, or you may be one of the rising number that has to pay this sort of terminal cost for it.
Yeah.
When you started seeing people come on board with it, how did you know that this was going to continue? Because was there a tipping point with maybe the World Health Organization, Anna's work? Like you said earlier, there wasn't data to support it. We're getting to the point now where we're almost approaching, my words, not yours, corporate negligence if we haven't got this stuff in place.
Yeah.
Because we're pretty much dropping into the Management Health and Safety at Work Act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We are. And
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, by joining this, you'll not only support the future of the podcast, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, incident debriefs, and so much more. A growing collection of valuable resources to help you learn and grow. So by joining the Patreon for just £3, you'll unlock everything we've ever created alongside discounts on merch, your support in whatever way, dropping it in the WhatsApp group, sharing it on the local newsletter, whatever it is. It's incredibly valuable and we really do support it, and we need it to make it a long-lasting resource, that legacy resource we always talk about for first responders, firefighters, and everybody everywhere who's ever been interested in joining the fire service or who absolutely loves the job. Now, if you're already supporting something, as many people do, it's totally cool. You can still access the podcast for free, and you'll always be able to access all the new episodes for free, but we're asking for your help to make this sustainable. And if you want to do something free, follow us on our YouTube, subscribe to it, rate us on Spotify, whatever platform you listen to, and we want to keep growing, we want to keep sharing the insights, and we want to keep showcasing the incredible work happening in our community and our sector. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes. Thank you for supporting us. We'll see you on the other side.
I think the World Health Organization saying that
Okay.
cancer is occupational cancer in this industry has really helped people think. And it does take influencers and bodies like that to make everyone think twice, yeah. Because we can bang the drums. And
Isn't that a bit
everyone
sad
can.
though? Because that's you being told. It's like telling a child to tell them to behave. You'd like them to behave because it's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
and that's what they should be doing. You know, if you have to be told to do it, it's almost a bit disappointing.
It is, and services should have looked at this many years ago when it was available, and until like who do tell you that it is, you need to do something about it. Like the HSE now are looking at fire stations to see how clean they are, and it's going to be part of the checks, which they're going to have to do it now. So they have been forced, but it is through people just spreading the word. I think it's just took time.
Okay.
I think 6 years ago it was no, prove it. Then you work with Anna Steck, you join the conferences, what have happened over the last few years, and just getting out there. I mean, in the early days, we've had firefighters' parents call and buy them packs for Christmas.
God.
We've had firefighters saying, how can we get hold of this? Our service will not buy them. Can we buy it? So we've had watches chipping in to buy hair and body wash, and I don't know whether they're setting up little tuck shops. You know what firefighters are like.
Yeah, which is great that they're taking that
They
action.
are, but I think this time, I think it's come from the bottom up.
Yes.
And I think the younger generation have really...
But that's where I think the most authentic change comes from. When we talk about cultural change, it never really works from the top down. I mean, they say that the fish rots from the head,
Yeah.
and though in bad culture, I think bad culture can work top down, as in it can be effective top down because people tend to give up and it becomes a self-reciprocating spiral. Do you know what I mean? Self-perpetuating, and people start to give up. But when you get that groundswell, total transparency, that's how the podcast thing, happens. There's just people on fire stations listening and sending messages and passing it around, and then it starts to perpetuate. Versus a corporate messaging platform where people are like, oh, did you see the chief's message? No, nobody did, because it's like, who listens to it? It was just corporate BS. There's a real sense of fulfillment I'm sure you probably get from that when you realise these people aren't being told to do this. They are seeing the value in it.
Are doing it, yeah. They're thinking about their future. And somebody mentioned before, I think it might have been Danny, it's your responsibility. You're responsible to say, right, I will wipe. I'm sure there's some fire stations, and maybe I don't want to just say the older generation say, oh, I'll leave that. I'm not gonna wash my hands before I pee. I'm not gonna do this. I don't need to. I've been in the job long enough. If I've got it, I've got it. You've got that attitude.
Yes.
But I think
that makes it harder to draw a line, though, doesn't it, for that next generation to start to be that change, to start to adopt, because there'll be so much bleed over. Because these new firefighters, they want to fit in. They want to fit in with their stations, and they don't want to seem like they're being pedantic, like they're being anal. But like you say, the people that are later on in the generations, and John spoke about it earlier, they may have that apathy. They've almost accepted it.
Yeah.
And go, well, if it be what it will be.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we're going through such a tremendous amount of retirement. We're hemorrhaging so many people out the fire and rescue service in the UK now. I think this is probably the most, and it's probably led to the success of what you do and many others in this sort of sector. We're at the crest of that wave where if it were ever going to work, it's most likely to work now.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, let's all point in the right direction, let's point in the same direction at the same time, and have a really big push to try and get this over the line.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I think it will, and I think we've got a core team of influencers in the industry who can all either tell the story, have a solution, talk about new solutions. It's good. It's really good, and I think it is making changes.
Without wanting to delve too much into the technical, I want to be respectful of your time. For people that are totally unfamiliar with it, because we've made a lot of assumptions of the listener so far today, what's the core product of Dewipe? What does it do? And how is it helping protect firefighters?
So we're protecting the long-term health of firefighters by making sure that post-fire at the scene they are removing any contaminants what have landed on the skin, which can be absorbed.
What's the difference between this and the baby wipes that I've got on the shelf at home then?
Okay, huge difference. Baby wipes have ingredients that can actually react with the carcinogens, so all the PAHs, and you've got a lot of PAHs found in the
environments
fire.
that we work in,
Yeah, definitely. So that doesn't work. Plus, our wipes are designed to remove the carcinogens like a magnet, so it picks up and it keeps them locked in the wipe. Also, our wipes are scientifically proven as well. We've done years of study with.
I see on the website all of the studies and data research and all that sort of stuff referenced on it.
We've done all that and made sure we're not just saying just wipe on scene. You
that must have been sort of stuff. Like I always say that about the Dewipe stuff is you guys and girls bring receipts.
Yeah,
you're not just making spurious claims that
firefighters
emotive, salacious stuff and just bang a sticker on it and go
and that has happened, and I'm sure
it's a bit like the wedding industry, where they just stick that on and put another zero on the end, double the price, and it'll be I'm saying specifically for that.
Yeah, and I think because we've worked, all of the team at Dewipe, we've worked in the industry for many years. We've got a firefighter on board as well, so we've got the best team to talk it. We're not just a commercial entity in that way. We're really passionate about it, and we want to see changes. And we've been banging the drums for 7 years now. We were one of the first to be out there.
Now that these floodgates have started to open, what are the biggest challenges facing Dewipe at the moment? What are you guys and girls working on?
Well, we've brought out a hair and body wash, which is a hand hair and body wash. So that's in, I would say, it must be in at least half of the fire services. 95% of the UK fire services are using wipes as standard.
Yeah.
And it's in their SOPs and that's that.
But like you said, that's just stage one at the incident ground. If they've not got an appropriate sort of body wash that's actually held at the station, they might just still be using the generic off the shelf.
And they still will probably be being exposed because you can't take it off from your hair the hair on your face, arms and everything. So you do shower within the hour. So we've got a hair and body wash to be used in the showers. We also have an equipment wash which we've developed and we're just developing it now with MSA.
Wow.
So they're going to be making sure that it's all fine to use on all the equipment because we've already done that with the wipes and they're happy that we can.
So is the
use
plan
our-
for this to integrate it to be used with the washing of the sets?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we know it's fine. We have done our testing and services are now using them. So there's two ways of using the equipment wash. You can put it in a bucket with water and you can submerge and wash and dry, or you can mix it into like a spray bottle for a lighter clean. It depends on how mucky your kit is.
So for people coming out of fire behaviour training, take it off, dump it to one side, wipe themselves off, bag their kit,
Yeah.
respirator on, spraying that off, that's an opportunity for that initial hit that before they load it into the back of the vehicles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So just stopping the cross-contamination.
Absolutely love it. I've used the product probably for the best part of, I'll bet I've used it for 6 or 7 years now, because there are, total transparency, there obviously are alternatives out there. If people want to find out more information, where's the best place for them to go?
www.dewipe.com or they can contact myself, Jo at dewipe.com.
Love it.
Give us a call.
I really appreciate you guys coming today and I really appreciate being part of this event. So I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.